Good morning, lover squeezes and lover cheeses. Oh, did I wake you? It's time for another episode of New Job Who Dis. Well, hello, welcome back one and all to another tantalizing tale of New Job Who Dis, your guide through 25 plus years of job failures, career failures, pipe dreams, bosses, employees, all the things that I have done in my lifetime as a working stiff to get to the prism of excellence, Halston body, the path that I had to take to look this good and to be this amazing. I mean, let's be honest with each other, people. It doesn't happen overnight. Oh, it does for some people, but they don't know how to handle it. They don't know what they're doing. Oh, no. This takes years. This takes practice. This takes effort. And it takes a lot of failure, a lot of what am I doing here? Why am I bothering? Questioning yourself at every given moment. That is what it takes to become what you feel or what you deem as a success or happiness, whatever it is you're chasing out there. You can get it. You just got to get through a whole lot of muck to get to it. And that's why I'm here. That's why I decided to make this podcast happen, because, ladies and gentlemen, again, it doesn't happen overnight. People don't just wake up and become Halston body. They have to fail. They have to land on their face a few times and get back up to get to where we need to be. Yeah, again, some people have it, some people don't. I feel like I'm getting there, though. Are you coming with me? Great. We're going to tell you a story, as you may have already heard. Let's catch you up real quick. For those who have been not listening, watching you, I'm listening. I'm paying attention to the stats, people. I officially have 10 listeners or viewers. I have 10. My top 10, it's like MySpace. They're my top 10 viewers. My top 10 viewers, you know who you are. Thanks for listening. For those who haven't tuned in yet, or haven't been part of the Halston body experience here as far as New Job Who Dis, please subscribe, like, comment, do all the things that they tell you to do that make things a success. I'm kidding. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Whoever is actually listening and whoever is actually watching, I appreciate it, because this is something I need to get out. I need to share with the world, and hopefully the end game goal of this, realistically, is for people like you to possibly draw some inspiration, draw some hope, maybe get a perspective on something that has bugged you forever. That, man, I used to do that. I used to do that job, or I used to hate my boss that way, and this is how it ended for me, or this is how that turned out, or whatever the case may be. Some people may be stuck right now listening, going, I don't know how to get out of where I'm at. How do I achieve what I need to achieve to break free from this cycle, man? Let me tell you how. I don't know if it'll work, but I'll definitely share my stories, and that's what I'm here. So as I was saying, what we were last seen in Detroit, just 21 years old, fresh. Oh, living my best life, right? Moving to Detroit, becoming a side piece, or we could call each other boyfriends, I guess, but it's really hard to call yourself a boyfriend with somebody who is already with somebody. Again, we get it, polygamy and all the things that relationships and weird side chicks and all that. I get it. Listen, but I did it. I was there to be friends with this lovely gentleman in Detroit, and, we lived in the same house with him and his not actually officially married, but common law husband. They had been together for 7 years. They had provided me an opportunity to live in Detroit, to go to broadcasting school out in Southfield, Michigan. It was a place called Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts. It's still there. I don't think it's the School of Broadcast Arts anymore. I think it's just called Specs Howard. They, shorten it up like music television is MTV and Kentucky Fried Chicken is KFC. Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts just need to be Specs Howard. I'm surprised they didn't, call it SH. I don't know. Either way, that was the goal. I didn't make college a thing. I went through it, learned a whole lot, but no direction, no goal, no carrot at the end of the stick for me to reach for. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had a whole lot of weird pipe dreams that you couldn't just go to school for, or you could, you just didn't have the easy and quick resource that you do today. Boy, I can't even imagine, I can't believe, and I have to dial this back to the earlier episode, I cannot believe how I somehow found a wrestling school in Milwaukee with no internet. And I mean, they took time to put ads in either the paper or the yellow pages. That's how it worked. And somehow I was almost going to wrestling school at the ripe age of 17. But here we are, 94, going into 95. We are just dawning on the age of the internet. I mean, the internet has existed, but it's not where you think it is today. It's nowhere near. We're on AOL, you get the discs in the mail, and you get 1,000 free hours. And, you get all that with the internet experience. There's internet relay chat, there's news groups, right? The news group boards and all of that. And there's not even pictures on the internet yet. I mean, it's literally AOL is just getting its feet wet back in the mid-90s. So I hitched my wagon, moved out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin to get to Detroit to follow up on this pipe dream I have of becoming an on-air DJ. Great. Get to Detroit, fall flat on my face because I don't know what job do I need to have to get to the school, and I didn't have a ton of resource financially, but a college kid going through college, boy, those credit cards start lining up. Money for now. Okay. I had to survive. I had to survive on credit cards a little bit. Not completely, because I did land a job. As you heard on the last episode on Friday, I was a lovely line cook. I used to be, it started as the counter person or a counter person, but I became a line cook and expediter for a restaurant in Royal Oak, Michigan called Pronto. And back then, when it first started around the early stages of the restaurant, it was called Pronto 608. And because it was on 608 South Washington. I got the job through a friend of a friend. The gentleman that I was living with, who is the homeowner, Gary, and the husband of Kevin, provided, hey, we got a room, crash with us, pay what you can. I don't think I paid a rent, but I definitely helped out around the house. And I was very busy working and in school. So I wasn't too much of a bother to them. I wasn't trying to take over their lives. I wasn't trying to redecorate their entire house and live there permanently. I knew it was a crash space. This was not the end game. So get this job. I'm working at Pronto 608, very LGBT friendly restaurant in the hipster, artsy, upscale-ish Royal Oak, Michigan. And it was great. It was a great job. It taught me so many kitchen skills. Oh man. If you're not sure how to cook, if you're not even, you all you know how is barely make a bowl of cereal and microwave a pizza, you can do this at any age, really. If you really just want to get a job, learn how to do some basic cooking. Try to get a restaurant job. I mean, I had no aspirations of becoming a chef. I had no aspirations of being called chef. I never got called chef. I was a cook. I was a line cook. I was making sandwiches and reheating mac and cheese and, creating broiled sandwiches in a convection oven and putting plates on trays for servers to get out the door for brunch. That was it. There wasn't any high level of you need to be a chef with top chef credibilities and a James Beard Award winning recipe. None of that. No, this was Slop House. Now, mind you, the quality of the food and the sandwiches and the menu were great. but it was not, I mean, chef, like, no, 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 no. But I did pick up a whole lot of skills. Picked up a whole lot of cool acquaintances. The job was great. The coworkers were great. And the main goal of having this job was just to have a job. I was literally just there to work. I was not trying to make a career out of it, as I said, because my goal was to get on radio. Take this, I don't know how this was going to happen, but it was, the stars were lining up. I get the tuition together, or at least the first payment installment. I go to the orientation for Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts. Oh man, I was like, this is where yes, this is what I wanted to learn. When they gave you the orientation and they give you the walk through the school moments, I was bright-eyed and just walking around like, wow, there's a there's a TV studio, a little DJ booth, and then I was so into it. I was like, oh, this is what I've been wanting. College did not bring me 1 ounce of that wonderment. I mean, yes, there was a level of wonderment in college in the ways of like, I'm becoming an adult and I'm being responsible for myself now, and I'm trying to learn how to live on my own, and I'm taking classes about education and things that make me smart. Yes, but this was like, oh my God, am I going to learn how to operate a TV camera? Wow, like blown away. And so I was in, not even knee deep. I was neck deep. I was like, yes, I want this. I want this more than anything, because college was a failure to me. Yes, I failed college. I will absolutely own that I failed college, but it was during a time where I was discovering myself, discovering life, coming out to myself and to others. So it was a whole new world. I mean, it was just, everything was new and exciting and changing for me. Nothing to land my feet on just yet. And no clear, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a weird person, and I'll admit that. I don't know how, I guess I just never saw the light of when I was in school thinking, I want to be a receptionist, or I want to do therapy for the rest of my life. I don't know. I mean, there were so many jobs that you could have chose from, but they were all like textbook jobs. Fireman, policeman, doctor, engineer. What does that mean? Right? Computer science. Computer science. None of it was like jumping out at me. And nobody was back then going, I love this Nintendo, and I love this Sega Master System, and I love these video games. How do I make those? Nobody was in the business. I mean, yes, they were being made back then, but there was no what it is today. There's none of that. But I lucked out, got to Detroit, started working at this restaurant, and got into school. Oh, let's talk about it, shall we? This was a second job, to be real. And we're going to talk about the job that I landed at the end of this, but this was a full-time job. If you want to talk about determination, drive, and desire, the 3 days, baby, I had them and I still have them, but this was a different level, because realistically, I was working full-time and going pretty much, I mean, full-time school, I guess, but I was doing 40 hours a week at the restaurant and then doing 20 plus hours at school, 20 actual school hours, maybe somewhere between 20 and 25. And then on top of that, homework. So I didn't have a lot of time to go out and sow my oats in the wild streets of Detroit. I was not a social butterfly. Oh, I made some friends here and there, some acquaintances, some work pals, but I never hung out. There was no time for me to hang out with any of them. And I mean, I tried to make time, but I was a loner, Dottie, a rebel. I was out there just school and work. But I was happy. I will make sure we are all on the same page about that. I was happy because I was chasing something tangible, and I saw that carrot at the end of the stick that was like, wow, This is what I want. This is what I came here for. This is what dreams are made of, right? Blew me away, blew my family away. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page about that as well. I was the first one to really fly the coop, so to speak. Everybody in my family, extended and otherwise, at that time was pretty much living right around Milwaukee. An uncle that moved down just south of the border in Illinois, but everybody else was like right within 90 miles of Milwaukee. Nobody was out there. I'm moving to, Montana. Like nobody was doing that. I was the first one. And I mean, yes, earlier in our lives, my family had moved we had to move from Milwaukee to, I believe, Indiana and Kentucky. And this is when I was like less than a year old, but it was because of my dad's job. It wasn't because hey, you know what's great? Adventure. Chasing dreams. Let's do it. Hit the open road. No. This was like, I have to work and I have to go to this city to work. And I have to be like, I was just flying by the seat of my pants. I didn't have a ton of money. Again, living on credit cards a little bit, using them and helping my life and, food, gas, and a whole lot of CDs. But other than that, work and school. Specs Howard was such a fun adventure. And when I got into it, the light switch turned on. I'm sure anybody who's been an educator in any sort of trade school, wrestling academies, anybody who's casting, anybody who is some sort of, we need a look, we need a person, we need a face, we need, whatever. They can understand this when they see the one. They see the one who is laser focused, eyes on the prize. There is nothing going to get in my way of this dream. And I'm doing it. I'm gonna do it. Get out of my way. That was me. Oh my God. Mind you, I had to do this for 8 to 9 months straight. There was no break. There was no summer break. Come back in fall. No. This was 8 months. I want to say 8.5. I'll give it 8.5 straight. 4 to 5 days a week. Intensive training, 4 hours a night. So I worked during the day, usually on the weekdays. I had my night school. And then, of course, I worked on the weekends and did my homework. That was it. Train just kept moving, right? And it was so educational. I learned so many things going to this school. And it's not even trade secrets. It's just coming out of my own shell, learning about how, it's eye-opening about things that you just hear or deal with on a normal daily basis. And you just take them for granted. That's the thing that happens. You don't know the why to the what. You just sort of turn on your radio and there's somebody there and they play music and they talk and they hear some commercials and great. How does it all work? Oh my God. Peeking behind that curtain was just, and still to this day, I want to make sure we're all clear about this. I am absolutely still wanting to be a DJ. Now, it's a different world out there, but we'll get to that. I still have it in me, as you can tell. I'm here doing a podcast. I am talking on air to at least 10 people. Hello, 10 listeners. But I did a podcast 10 years ago. It feels like a glove to me. Being able to pop open a mic, have conversations, give people some shine and some brightness in their day, maybe some information, feeling like somebody to connect to. And that's what all ended up coming out. It wasn't the intent. That wasn't the goal of going to the school. It's not like I need to discover who I am and what I'm capable of. It just happened. It just happened. It cracked open that egg of creativity and who I am as a person. It didn't do it completely, but it definitely greased the wheels and got that motor running, because the things that I was able to learn and the things I was able to do, life-changing. Life-changing. Still using some of the lessons that I've learned from that school to this day. To this day. Oh, it was, I could just, shine and glow about how amazing it was for hours. But let's get into it. What was the school? Well, half of it, they gave you a choice. They sent you down a path of learning both audio and video training. So even though you might have come in there with this laser focused goal of, I want to be a DJ. I want to be a morning zoo crew guy and honk horns and play pranks and be the next Rick Dees. Great, but you still got to learn the electives and you got to learn the whole scope of broadcasting. I learned TV production, camera work, news production, weather, green screens, video editing for commercials, how to write and read copy, how to professionally say things, how to do things when things don't go right, how to recover, how to look into a camera and speak to the viewer, how to speed up and slow down your pace, how to inflect, how to say, to a specific audience, certain things, how to emote without emoting, right? You can cry on camera. No, you don't want to cry on camera, but you definitely want to sound like you have empathy in your voice. Oh, there's so many things. Old school cameras, how to wrap cable. Why would a radio guy need that? You never know. And let me tell you what, folks, I graduated from that school in 96, and to this day, I still know how to wrap cable properly so that the studio folks don't get mad at you and your cords are not knotted and you can just throw the cable and it goes, there it goes. There's a trick to that. Did you know? I didn't. Boy, I didn't know any of that stuff. I didn't know about the newscaster toss. What is that? The newscaster toss? You may never watch news again. Local news, mind you, not, CNN and all that. They don't have like two anchors going back and forth. But I didn't know about the toss. What's the toss, you might ask? It's when the newscaster finishes whatever story they're talking about and they do the little turn to the left or the right and toss it to the next person. And that's our news for tonight. Let's get into our weather. Steve, the toss, they called it the toss. Things like that. There's infinite amounts of broadcast education and things like, again, stuff that you could just take for granted and just think that it's just a normal occurrence. And you're like, oh, there's a reason for that? Oh, I had no idea. One of my favorite things that I will spoil for everybody, it's not like it's some magical secret. It's just legal. It's law. I didn't know there was a law about this, but there was a broadcasting law about this. That's the thing. You learn about why radio stations have the call letters they have, why they do certain things, why do their antennas have, lights on top of them, and all those intricacies of radio and audio and video broadcasting. Who knew? Yeah, I used I was helping wrap cords for wrestling production shows. Good thing I learned all that TV production because now I know how to wrap cable. Now I know how to do all those things. Oh, man. But one of my favorite secrets that blew my mind as a radio fan, because I'm a radio fan, or at least I was a terrestrial radio fan. And they call it terrestrial because what's funny is that didn't even exist. That didn't exist until satellite radio came out. Then it became a war. It was just radio. Right? So I'll just get on radio. And one of my biggest, mind-blowing, I had no idea that's what that was or why that happened. So apparently at the top of every hour, on the hour, in at least FM radio for sure, I'd have to check my notes to see if it's an AM radio thing, but I'm pretty sure it's AM and FM radio, but I'll only speak on FM radio because that's all I ever worked. On FM radio, within 5 minutes of the top of the hour, whether it's before or after, you have to give the call signal and the letters and the city of origin of where your studio is or your headquarters, wherever the broadcast is coming out of. So if you have a satellite office in some other city and you're doing it out of your living room or dining room, wherever you're at, if your headquarters is wherever the broadcast is based out of, that's what your call signals have to be said. Now, back in the day, and when I say the day, I mean way longer than I was ever born. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was fairly basic. They would just say something like WUWM, Milwaukee, like just something very basic. Or you have to make sure to say FM too. So you'd be like WUWM, FM, Milwaukee. It would, and maybe some tones, ding, 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 like that was what nowadays, or at least back in the 90s, they made them flashier and made them sound like they were part of the station. I mean, you had to brand identify with your station. So in the middle of a metal station or a rock station, you couldn't have ding, 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 WLZR 103.5 FM, Milwaukee. That's not, you couldn't do it that way. So you had some slick production guys who got a hold of Pro Tools and they made all these cool bumpers and flashes and you're listening to 94 WKTI FM Milwaukee. And you go back. I don't know if, again, I have not listened to terrestrial radio in a long time. I have not been in my car because we have Spotify and Apple and iPods and digital music. I have no reason to pop on, Jack FM or Kiss FM or any of these stations anymore. I mean, there's a nostalgia. I'll definitely listen. It's not like, oh God, I can't stand listening to the radio. I just have no need. I guess if I want to listen to how it's being done today, sure, absolutely. Let me wind up the radio and listen to some Jack FM or Kiss FM or Dave FM or John FM, whatever FM. Sure, absolutely. But it's a different world nowadays. We'll get to that. But yeah, so that was like every top of the hour, that's what happens. And you could hear some of the coolest ones. Some people did some really great ones. Music bed goes down and da 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 da. You're listening to 94 W, right? You've heard those things, but I had no idea there was a purpose behind it. I thought it was just part of the jam, man. I don't know. I had no idea. But when you found out there was a science behind it and a legal reason, you're like, wow. And then you start listening to them and you start paying attention to them and you're like, it's just like anything that you are dedicating your time and your life to. If you are absolutely out there trying to make it and you're trying to, survive in your new job or your new career and you're trying to figure out how does this all tick? Well, go to a trade school and find out because that's what you did. If you want to learn all those amazing tricks of the trade and you want to find out how to pull back the curtain and go, how does this all work? Go to a trade school, find out. I mean, if you want to learn how they make fancy birthday cakes, go to a school, learn how they make fancy birthday cakes. I mean, nowadays, yes, YouTube, tutorials, online schooling, nonstop internet education. Back then, you had to go to a school, you had to sit down, you had to listen, you had to write notes. I'll have to look in my memory box. I might still have my booklet or my Specs Howard School of Education in my memory box. I'll have to pull it out for the epilogue. But I was being bombarded with cool and interesting to me behind the scenes of how radio and video and TV worked. A kid's dream. Man, this is so cool. What? This is how this knob works. This is how it works. This is what that button's for. Wow. I was, you can hear the passion in my voice. My octave has gone up a couple octaves. I mean, it's like, drive, desire, and determination. Telling you people, I wanted it bad. And the minute I put my foot in the water, I wanted to start swimming immediately. Oh my goodness. I've never felt more at home in a school. I never felt more invigorated to take the classes and make sure I know these things and memorize them and learn them and put them into practice, and how do I get better and all those things. Man, it's still in me. It's still in me. Don't be fooled. It is not, back when I used to be driven, back when I had desire, back when I could. No, it's still there, because that's when I need a moment to remind myself, how did I get there and how hard I had to work for 8+ months to get to the end of that road that I chose because nothing else was working for me. Boy, you put the blinders on and you focus, especially when money is involved and you're living on other people's good graces. Come on, you gotta handle it. You gotta take care of business. And boy, did I take care of business. I was right where I needed to be. Right where I needed to be. And it was great. School was laborious. Learning was laborious. Falling asleep in class was challenging. Not because I was bored. It's because I was working full-time and going to school full-time. 60+ hours on a 21-year-old. You can get through it. It still affects you. Thank God for Mountain Dew. And credit cards to buy all that Mountain Dew with. I'm chugging along. Line cook job is chugging along. There's a sweet spot of working at that place because, of course, you get these, young kids, and we're all young at the time. I'm speaking as a 47-year-old now, but back then I was 21. We're all having a great time, and we're just surviving. We all have our goals and dreams in front of us, and people at work were tuned in. You're going to broadcasting school? That's so cool, man. Huh? I suddenly got some weird clout that I didn't expect by going to a cool school. Nobody put that in the brochure for the school. By the way, when you go to the school, people are going to think you're cool. What? Okay. So yeah, my path was set. I focused obviously on the audio DJ broadcast part of the production and the schooling. The video stuff was great. Don't get me wrong. I had a ball in the TV studios, working the Zooms and doing the big studio cameras and putting on a suit and sweating in front of a camera to deliver news in the way we're supposed to deliver news. And we're 21. We had no idea. And I was, again, I'm a schlub. I'm not, hi, I'm Dave Jenkins and I'm pretty with the news. No, I was this schlub. I was a face for radio, as they say, a face for radio. I was not a pretty boy. So, and I'm not saying that to demean myself. I'm just saying, if you look at newscasters, there's a chisel and there is a model-esque and a tan and a teeth and a hair. And I had none of that. I had hair back then, but no. And I didn't feel comfortable in a suit anyway, so it's fine. There were a lot of great moments of learning in that school, talking about how to talk on radio. That was a big education moment. We hear radio and we think, well, I'm a DJ. I'm a DJ that talks on radio because that's what I have to talk like. Wolfman Jack, man. Hey, I'm on radio and radio is the thing. And right? It becomes like the DJ voice. They called it the DJ voice. Are you talking like a DJ? I'm a DJ. Yeah, you need a little bit of that for those voiceover moments, or being what they call the bumper guy who's like, WUWM, like that guy who has to make his voice sound dope. Yeah. A little bit of affection or affectedness to that voice. But when you got in there, they're like, no, that's not how you talk on radio. And we're all looking at each other like, what? That's what I grew up with, is 101 points up. All these DJs, as I like to call them. DJ, I'm a DJ. No, they tried, and they were very successful to try to get you to talk like a normal human being. Just like I'm talking to you right now, right? No affectation to that, trying to sound British or anything. They even talked about the other way, because there's all that excitement that you can get in a radio and be like, good morning, I'm a radio DJ, and this is how I talk, and we're going to get the seventh caller, and no. There's the opposite way, which is where you smooth it down. Oh, hey, we're talking to the radio. Are you listening, radio? What's going on? Good evening. You're Delilah after dark. No, they called that going into the hot tub. Don't get into the hot tub. Hey, ooh, you feel that hot tub? You feel the water splashing? Ooh, it's so warm. Ooh, the bubbles. Like they were there were so many education moments about, wow, that's how radio works. Because again, you're going with what you know, and what I knew up until that point is, I'm Casey Kasem, and I'm a DJ. Welcome back to the top 10, and I'm going to make sure I use my voice to sound like a DJ, because I want to be smooth on air, and hey, or you want to be rock and roll, hey, rock and roll, man, or DJ, and I'm 94, like, no, be you. Now, that sounds easy. Be you. Oh, sure. But when you're 21 going on 22 and you don't know who you are or what you're capable of yet, or you have no idea, I'm not the most, worldly human being at that point. I mean, wow, Detroit. I visited Boston once. That was it. I didn't have a plethora of life to let me get on air and tell you all about and connect with me, viewers. I'm a young, kid who has no idea what he's doing. And I drink Zima, by the way. This was the era of Zima. I was a Zima kid. I got a nickname in school called Zima Bob because I was the only person that actually drank Zima and liked it. Oh, yes. Yes, I was an OG Zima boy. Still miss it. Oh, when they came back, I bought a case or two. Are you kidding? Zima. But I digress. We're not here to talk about Zima. We're here to talk about my radio school. Great school. I wish I could go back to it again. It was so great. The teachers were great. They all had personalities. They all taught well. There was not one in the bunch that was like, oh, I got to take that guy. No, they're all on point. They all had a direction. They all had skill. They had all been in the business or were currently in the business. They had it. They knew. And so my goal, because I'd already been to 2 schools, high school, grade school, yes, but you're not thinking about grades. You're just trying to please mommy and daddy in grade school. High school is when you're trying to get somewhere, right? High school, and then we go into college. High school, I came out of high school with a 2.2, or I think it was 2.3 GPA. So, not there for the A's and the Scholar of the Year. No. College started off with a bang. Oh, I can handle college. All right, we're doing it. Oh, no, we're not into college anymore. Nope. So, third time's the charm. Kid, don't waste this opportunity. You're paying your own money out of your pocket that you're sweating through your pants at Pronto 40 hours a week behind a hot grill, burning yourself, cutting your thumb off on a slicer, smelling like onions and corned beef and sauerkraut and just balsamic vinegar. And not that those are bad smell. I was a line cook. I smelled like a cook when I got home. This was the goal. I was like, you have got to get through this school and you have got to make something out of this. I had to give myself the pep talk because nobody else was. Yes, people were like, oh, good luck, right? Good luck in school. Hope it works. Da-da-da-da. All the, we're rooting for you, kid. But there was no, rocky music in the background, and we're going to do it, man. We're going to make it. This is 8 months of just a grind, and you want it bad enough, don't you? Ah! I did. I did so bad, meaning I did want it so bad that I ended up graduating at the top of my class. Oh yeah, RTV 595. I can't remember how the school, they used to have the grad school, the way they would do it would be, it was RTV, which was, radio, television, and then it was May 95. And I believe 95 is when we graduated because we started school in 94. I can't remember what the dates were, but it was like we were either 1094 or 595 or 695. Can't remember. But I was, oh yeah, no. I said, that's it. I'm doing this. I'm spending my money. I'm spending time. I am grinding to make this a success. Did it. Graduated with, I believe, it was like a 3.89 or a 9.1. Oh yeah, no. I wrote down everything, memorized it, practiced, kept practicing, lab time, making sure I cross the T's and dot the I's to get through this school. And yours truly, in a class of maybe 16 to 20 at the most, I think it was like 15. Top of the class. And it was, I couldn't have been prouder of myself, because I knew there was a carrot at the end of the stick. I'll tell you what, if there's a secret about Halston Body, there's a secret about HALSTONBODDY, and you want to get me to accomplish something, put something at the end, put a realistic prize. I don't need money. I don't need, like, it has to be like this. You will get to do this if you get to the end of the path. It's just a matter of, oh my God, I did it. I finally succeeded. And you got to understand where this pride and this amazement comes from. I had a family that the older brother, lack of better terms, failed. He's still alive. He's a working guy. He's a normal human being. And I completely understand my brother, because I did the same sort of thing, except just a little later in college. Didn't find the carrot at the end of the stick. But boy, when I found that carrot, when I saw the carrot, I saw a little light at the end of that tunnel and said, oh, is that the goal? Is that what? Nothing gonna get in my way. You better move, because I'm doing it and I don't care right? I was determined. And I was so determined that I got top honors at this trade school. I mean, it didn't mean anything. I didn't get a parade or cash bonus, but I was celebrated, and it was indescribable, because there are no words to put to putting yourself through such a grind and making sure you are mentally staying intact as far as keeping your eyes on that prize without any distractions at 21 and 22 years old. Think about yourself as a 21-year-old. And I'm not trying to compare and contrast to make myself sound more amazing, but I know 21-year-olds. I know 22-year-olds. They are in the wrestling business. They are family members. I mean, there are people that I know who are in that age. And they are nowhere. I mean, I'm scared. When we talk about the old people, I'm scared for the future. There are some people I've met that I'm like, I don't want to sound like that old guy who walked up, both hills, both ways to school barefoot. But boy, at 21 years old, I was working a full-time job and going to school full-time. And somehow, because I wanted it, there was no other reason. I wasn't trying to make anyone proud. I wasn't trying to, Mom and Dad, watch what I can do. I wanted out. I wanted out of a grind of a job that I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I definitely wanted to do that because that seemed fun. The world of careers talks about, like, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. Jobs should be fun. You should be wanting to go to them because they're part of your life and your being and all that stuff. I mean, I'm sure this is how veterinarians feel every time they get a cute kitten and a cute dog. This is why I did this job, because this is making me happy. Look at that golden retriever. It's so adorable. I love it. Or somebody who's doing a doggy daycare because they love dogs so much and they want to take care of them and it's so adorable. All those things. That's what this was. It was a pipe dream that turned into a dream that turned into a reality because I would not let anything get in my way. Nothing. During the time, the scant year and a half, mind you, that I was in Detroit. I was only in Detroit for about a year and a half. I want to say a year and 7 months at most. I went through 3 cars. Yeah, the one I drove over in blew up. The one that I got in between, jalopy, blew up. And then the last one I had, which was some like small Ford, like little burner, like a little tiny, I think it was like an LX or some sort of small car, little compact, gotta get somewhere car. It wasn't meant to be, and I'm driving it in the Midwest in winter. Not a great car to drive through 6 inches of snow. It's tiny, it weighs 4 pounds. I'm gonna get blown away in the wind. So there I am, beaming, graduated school, still working, right? Now work is losing its luster at this time. Fair, right? Fair assessment. Why? I just graduated school. I'm about to embark on what I want to do in my life. Why would I really care about work? Yes, I still cared about work. I showed up with a smile. I showed up hating Deb. Deb sucked. Mind you, I want to say too, Deb at Pronto was the only true enemy I had at work until they hired this guy who was a bartender, and he was bald and kind of angry looking and, I hate to say this word, but it was definitely an Aryan look to him. I didn't think anything of it, but, because we're in an LGBT friendly, everyone's cool, we're all cool, and if you got to be there and you got to work with us LGBTs, you got to be kind of, hey, we're cool, right? We're all cool, right? We're all cool. We're here to work and be cool, right? You know what this place is, right? So work's going great. Graduating school. What am I going to do now? I've graduated school. Now what? Well, 2 things happen. One, I get a job. Let's talk about that for a quick second. I got a job, landed, placed it out of school. Of course, I'm the top of my class. Why would they not? Why would they not try to find me an opportunity? Here's the breadwinner of our class, and yes, get him on air. And I did. I landed a job, and I think it was just placement. It was through placement because it was in Michigan, so they were finding Michigan radio stations that needed help from fresh young people who are possibly interns wanting to work for radio. Get them in. Great. So they found me. I somehow found a job or got a job or was placed in a job, or they just helped me find a job. And the first job I had out of broadcasting school was a board operator. I had to press buttons to make a show that was automated and via satellite run smoothly and make sure the commercials were playing at the proper times. I worked at a radio station called WHZZ, Lansing's 101.7, WHZZ, Lansing's hottest hits, non-stop. It was apparently brand new. Like, that's why they were hiring. They changed over the format and it became like Hot AC. For those who don't know what that means in the radio land, hot adult contemporary. The hot hits of today, the songs that the kids are listening to. There's a big difference. You can call anything adult contemporary, but there are layers. There's hot AC, there's, adult AAC, which is like adult, something like, I can't remember, it was like, what was the other A? There was like 3 or 4 different adult contemporaries. They exist, right? There's the Hot FM, what they are now known as the Kiss FMs. Kiss FM with Ryan Seacrest, and we're playing the hits of now, and now, hot, fresh. We're playing whatever is on the charts and is topping the charts, and what are the kids into? But then there is adult contemporaries where it's like listen while you work stations. They're still playing hits of today, but they were not edgy. They were very safe, very Mariah Carey, Phil Collins, Celine Dion. Hey, listen to While You Workstation. Oh, we're going to be playing, so we're going to have a Flashback Friday and play some 80s hits that are safe, like very safe adult contemporary. Hot AC would play stuff that's just like, here's the latest hip hop, here's the latest, Dr. Dre, and what? Like, that's what the kids were listening to, not the adults. Even though it was adult contemporary, Hot AC meant something else. But I got a job. Oh my God, a job. This is what I went to school for. Yeah! It's in Lansing, Michigan. For those who need a geography lesson, Lansing, Michigan is an hour and a half to the west of Detroit, 90 minutes. Very much like Milwaukee to Madison. If you are a Wisconsinite and you're listening, Madison to Milwaukee, about 90 minutes. Same thing. Detroit to Lansing, 90 minutes. Straight shot across the 94. Took the job. I was like, I don't care. This is what I came here to do. This is what I educated myself and spent my own money doing to get a job and a career. Let's do it. Oh, it's not going to pay her very much? Okay. Oh, it's only on like the weekend? Okay. It's one day a week? Okay. But that's what they told you. This is how you get in the business, man. This is how you start. You got to start somewhere. And I started board hopping for a radio station that would play a satellite show on Saturday nights. Saturday night, they would have a satellite show called John Garabedian's Open House Party. Do you like how I did that DJ voice? It was that. That's how it was. It was John Garabedian's Open House Party. And it was a 4 or 5 hour satellite show that would play, just from a satellite feed. And you would hit the button and there's the feed and it would come down and you'd volume it and make sure it's on and all that. Great. One of the best shows I've ever listened to in radio history, because I was young. I was into pop. I was into music. I was into dance. I was into the charts. I was into what the kids were listening to. And I was trying to become a DJ. So, oh my gosh, this was magic to me. Sure, I feel like the drive to and from was as long as my shift. I mean, I was driving an hour and a half there and driving an hour and a half back on crappy gas in Detroit. Now, it's probably cheaper in Detroit because it's a very automobile industry city, but at the same time, driving 3 hours to work for 5. I think 5.5 at the most, because I had to probably do, I know I had to do a weather cart. Radio lingo, it's those old plastic carts back in the day. They're these old, they looked like 8 tracks, and you had to record on them, and I had to record and splice the local Lansing weather on there. So it just meant WHZZ FM, this is your local weather. I decided, because I don't know why, I didn't think this one out. My name is, my birth name is Robert. All right, not really a flashy radio name. Bob, okay. A little old for a 21-year-old. That's not a Bob, right? That's fine. But my last name is just messy and is not a radio name. So I decided to change it to Squire. Why? Because one of my favorite musical artists of all time in history and space is Billy Squier. Write that down, kids. And it's spelled Squire. Squire, like the guitar. Not Squire like the Royal Squire or R.E. No. Billy Squier. If you're not familiar with who Billy Squier is, he wrote a rock anthem forever. The Stroke. Look it up. Look it up, kids, on your Spotify. Or look it up in the phonologue. Either way, Billy Squier to this day is one of my favorite artists. And, it still remains. And so I thought I'd be cool and take that name. I'm 21 years old, and my voice has not become radio friendly yet. I mean, I'm still up here in the octaves. I'm 21. Right? And I know I have recordings of some of my original demo tapes. I sound like a child. I mean, I'm squirrely, I'm excited. And of course, when I get excited, my voice goes up and high, right? Of course. was on the radio. I'm like, and of course, because I hadn't practiced yet, and I do not have the enunciation skills that I have to this day by opening up my mouth and stretching it and making sure I'm not just rambling through whatever I'm going to ramble through, I was just going out there going, Bob Squire, Bob Squire, Bob Squire, Bob Squire. And when you listen back to it, because I did an air check in front of my boss, and we'll get to him in a second, when I did an air check in front of him, I was listening to it and it sounds like Bob Square. Bob Square, Bob Square. Who's Bob Square? It's terrible. It was terrible. I mean, it was great for me. I was living it. I was like, I'm a DJ. I'm talking on air. I can't believe I'm like, I was breathless. I was actually in a studio. I was taking pictures. I mean, I was proud to a point where I was taking pictures for my parents. Look at me be, it's like when kids go off to military school and they're taking pictures of them on the base in their uniform, or, when they're, all those glory moments that children want to share with their parents. Oh, not only did I graduate at the top of my school, Mom and Dad, but I also am a DJ now. Okay, on paper, I'm a board operator, pressing buttons for John Garabedian's open house party. Right? But I'm a DJ, baby. I'm a DJ. I'm sitting in the booth. I have my own headphones. What? I get to press the buttons. I'm the guy in control of what's happening on the airwaves. Ah! Unbelievable. So good. Such a... at the end, right at the end, before I ended my brief stay at WHZZ in Lansing, the world of radio was coming together for me, because Detroit and the luster of living there as a side piece with somebody who I was never really going to be in a full relationship with, mixed with graduating from school, mixed with go get 'em kid, and currently working at a job where I love Pronto. I really loved working there, but I was at the end of it. I mean, burnt out probably because I just ran through 8 months of nonstop work in school doing 60 hours. And, again, new things happening at the store, new policies, changes, staff, not the same people you're working with. Yes, most of them, but just what? It was losing the luster. It was losing that shine of when it was great. And again, I'd only been there for like 9 months, so it wasn't like, man, I'm a career gal here at Pronto. All of that combined was like, where do I go from here? Where? What am I doing? And, I was probably a little like concerned because I was working at one radio job as a board operator one night a week. It's not the career I was looking for. I'm trying to get on a morning show. I'm trying to do this full time, baby. How do I do it? How do I get to that morning show cloud? How do I get to afternoon drive? How do I even get to be the evening guy who gets to play the cooler hits for the kids? How do I get there? How? I'm here at WHZZ. Weird small world. I realized I was brought in because they just changed over things, and the radio climate there was changing, and it was the new station, WHZZ. And all of a sudden, we get a new boss. Because I believe I was hired, obviously, on the premise that I was a student of radio and I had graduated and I was going to be trustworthy, and I'd already had jobs up to that point. So I wasn't some fresh-faced, pimple-faced kid who was like, I want to press buttons and be a radio. I was like, oh no, I've been management. I know how to hold my own in a radio station at 21 years old, now 22. I'm mature and I can do this. I'm here to prove myself. Well, we got a new program director right away because, again, the station just changed over. So they were hiring all these slots to fill in the new sound of Lansing's hottest hits. And my new boss, all of a sudden, was kicking Chris Kerr. Who's kicking Chris Kerr? Well, if you listen to the episode of Musicland, part 1, kicking Chris Kerr was the DJ. I think it was the afternoon or the midday guy for Hot 102 WLUM in Milwaukee, Wauwatosa. That's actually they're in Wauwatosa. So it'd be Hot 102, 102.1 FM, WLUM, Wauwatosa. He was the guy that came down and visited me and was like talking music. And I was like, oh my God, I'm talking to a DJ. I'm not there yet, but I want to be you. He's my new boss. What? Small world. I mean, how hard was it for me not to mark out on him and be like, you know, I used to listen to you on WLUM and like, yes, I did tell him. Yes, I already told him. Oh, by the way, we met once before. Blown away. Small world. Not even the internet yet to like instant connection. It was like, what? How did we meet? I used to work at Musicland. Oh my God, right? He had just moved to Lansing, became the program director. And he introduced me to his girlfriend as well. And that was the first time. I was, again, 22 years old. That was the first time I mean, to me, Chris Kerr seemed like an adult. I don't remember how old he was, but he definitely was, I would say at least late 20s. Absolutely. Maybe the early 30s. Maybe. Definitely late 20s, if not early 30s. And he wasn't old per se, but he was at least early 30s, I would say. So he introduced me as girlfriend. And that was my first, like, taken back moment of, like, meeting somebody's girlfriend and going, wow, she's really young looking. Why am I bringing that up? This will come into play in a story later on. Trust me, this is why you should listen to every episode, because sometimes things that happen in this episode show up later in another episode. How? The world keeps on spinning, folks. It just happens. So yeah, I meet Chris Kerr. I'm suddenly working under Chris Kerr. I felt like I had connection, man. Woo! I know somebody in radio and I'm working for him. And he helped me figure out how to speak better and do a demo tape and all that stuff. But at that point, I wasn't ready to be on air as a full-time guy yet. I was just, again, getting my feet wet, learning, practicing, pressing a whole lot of buttons, making sure John Garabedian's open house party ran smoothly with the satellite megamix and all of that. But I was so happy. So happy. So what happened? Well, you're going to have to tune in on Friday. Yes, suckered you in, because there is a change coming. And it is the change that is, spoiler alert, easily probably my favorite job ever. Ever. I have, as Halston Body is my current, yes, my current favorite, where I'm at is where I'm supposed to be. But boy, at 22 years old, I land a dream job, and I land it, I talked about radio doctors and working in a music store being a dream job. This was, you've worked so hard for this, and you've crawled, and you've bled, and you've sweat, and the labor you have put into this career is about to pay off. Oh! Tune in Friday, find out, sit through the week, maybe catch up on some old episodes. This next episode, it might be a two-parter because it was such a job. It was such, but yeah, fondest memories, WHZZ, Lansing's hottest hits, 101.7, Lansing's hottest hits, non-stop. To this day, it still warms my heart. To this day, I think about those moments of driving through the snow and the cold and wiping out my car once just to work, man. Oh yeah, no, I totally, driving 90 miles an hour down an icy freeway, it's not a good idea when you're driving home at 4 a.m. from a radio station. Just to let you know, I survived, the car was fine, everything was fine. But that was dedication, drive, and desire, ladies and gentlemen, and it got me to the top of my class. It got me to graduate from broadcasting school. It got me to pursue the dream that I set out to do. And I worked real hard to get there. And I'm still working real hard because I still love it to this day. I love being on air. I love entertaining people, speaking to them, giving them the visual. I mean, it all started really, really, really started there. Yes, there are many things that got me, some foundations and absolute layers of like, how do I manage? Because I'm sure if being a radio DJ, pressing buttons for my first job, I might not have lasted in the radio business as long as I did if I was a squirrely teenager without any direction and didn't know what I was doing and just kind of making money. But there was no money in radio. Come on. At least where I was. Oh, so yes, please tune in this Friday for another edition of New Job Who Dis. Please subscribe. Please like. Please comment. Please share. Please reach out to me. If you have an anecdote you'd like to, oh God, I remember working and shopping at Musicland. I remember like any of those things I've talked about. Anybody out there in radio want to share their pain of being in radio? We'll get to that next episode. But thank you, as always, for listening. Thank you for watching here on YouTube. Please subscribe, like, all the things that you're supposed to do when you're tuning in, baby. Do it. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course the Podbean network where this is being hosted. Thank you for listening to me once again, Halston Body here for another episode of New Job Who Dis?